Bob Arum says that Kell Brook won't quit against Terence Crawford the way Amir Khan quit. He refers to Khan as a chicken, and I'll come on to that a little bit later on in the video. But there had been some talk about Terence Crawford fighting Kell Brook, I want to say a year ago, something like that. But the talk kind of went dead. Bob Arum seemed to go off the fight. I'm not sure why. But now it seems he's back on the fight. And I think it's a good matchup for Terence Crawford because Crawford has been trying to get the PBC welterweights in the ring with him, but they've frozen him out. They don't seem interested. Or maybe their paymaster, their puppet master, should I say, Al Heyman, isn't willing to allow them to get in the ring with Terence Crawford at this juncture. So outside of the PBC welterweights, I think Kell Brook is a good option. He would be coming down in weight, as I say, because he's just competed at 154. And he looked fairly decent in his last fight. Brook says that he's dedicated himself and he's now no longer going to blow up in between fights. And now he's going to make the weight a lot easier. If that's true, then I think he should be able to make 147 pounds and still be pretty effective at that weight class. Obviously, the older you get, the more difficult it is to get down in weight, the more of an impact it can have on you. But if you're a guy who was never living the life in between fights when you were younger, then it might not be as difficult as you would imagine to make that weight when you get older. If you start living the life, if you start having the discipline in between training camps, etc. So I've never been one of these people who insists that Kell Brook should campaign at 154 because I just think the guys at that weight class are too big for him. I think at welterweight, yes, he's going to have to lose a bit of strength coming down to 147, but he's going to have size advantages over most welterweights. Okay, so I personally think that's still the best bet for him. And I would like to see Terence Crawford versus Kell Brook. I think is a decent fight. Now, as far as what Bob Arum said about Amir Khan quitting and being a chicken, well, those of you who have followed my channel for any length of time will know that I'm not really a fan of criticizing fighters who quit in tough fights. If you've got a guy who goes in there and gets hit with a glancing blow and throws himself on the canvas without even trying, without even taking any serious punishment, then fair enough. You can criticize a guy like that. Okay. But when you're talking about a guy in Amir Khan, who's been in loads of tough fights, who has been knocked out cold before, who's taken a lot of punishment in his career, and he's shown a tremendous amount of heart before in his career, to call him a chicken and criticize him for quitting against Terence Crawford, which he did do, he did quit. But to call him a chicken and basically question his manhood because of what he did, that doesn't sit well with me. Particularly not when it comes from Bob Arum, who's a lawyer from New York. That's what Bob Arum is. This is not a boxer. This is not a fighter. This is not a guy who's had to show any real bravery in the ring, one-on-one, fighting somebody. He's never had to do that. But yet he's running around calling people chickens and stuff. Come on, man. So my track record on YouTube is to go easy on fighters who quit in tough fights. Because I'm not in their position. I'm not the one taking the punches. Khan had been dropped by Terence Crawford. Khan was probably going to get knocked out by Terence Crawford, and he'd been knocked out before in his career. He'd been through real tough fights where he didn't quit before. But you can sometimes get to a certain point as a fighter where you just don't have the stomach for it anymore. Maybe you used to when you were young, but as you get older, you just can't go to the well anymore. I mean, we saw it even with Evander Holyfield. When Evander Holyfield was very, very old in his 40s he fought a guy from the Bahamas called Sherman Williams. Evander Holyfield quit in that fight. But was there any quit in Holyfield when he was a young man? Hell no. But Father Time catches up with everybody, and not just in terms of physically, but also mentally. You get to a certain age and you just don't have that extreme mentality where you can put yourself through the kind of pain and punishment that you could when you were younger. And that's where I think Khan got to in that Terence Crawford fight, because he went in there saying that nobody's ever outboxed him. People have knocked him out and roughed him up, but nobody's outboxed him. Well, he found out that Terence Crawford could knock him out, or at least knock him down and rough him up. And also he could outbox him. So Khan saw no way to actually win that fight. And so when the opportunity came to quit and get out, he took it. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, again, I can't really judge him for it because he's shown a tremendous amount of heart in his career before. But the irony, of course, is, and many people are pointing this out, that while Bob Arum says Kell Brook won't quit against Crawford the way Khan did, Kell Brook quit against Errol Spence. I saw some people say Kell Brook quit against Golovkin. Again, I don't know what brand of crack they're smoking, but he certainly did not quit against Golovkin. His corner threw in the towel. Kell Brook did not want to stop the fight. If your corner throws the towel in, that's not quitting. That's not you as the fighter quitting. So people need to stop repeating that nonsense about the Golovkin fight. He certainly didn't quit there. He did quit against Errol Spence. And again, there are some people, British fans, Kell Brook fans, saying that Brook didn't quit against Spence. I mean, again, what brand of crack are they smoking? Because he got down on one knee, the referee started counting, and Kell Brook didn't get up until the referee had finished his count. He quit in the fight. It doesn't mean he's a coward. It doesn't mean I think any less of him or anything like that because he quit, but let's call it like it is. He quit in the fight. Okay, he had a fractured eye socket. He didn't want to continue, and he quit. Probably the best thing for him, to be honest with you. I think even Errol Spence after the fight said it was the best thing for him because he got a fractured eye socket, the other eye, against Gennady Golovkin. And after surgery, the surgeon or the doctor, whoever it was, told him that 1 or 2 more punches on that eye and he could have been blinded for life. And that was obviously in the back of his mind against Errol Spence when he felt the same kind of feeling in his other eye. And he didn't want to be blinded for life. He wanted to live to fight another day, come back and keep earning money for his family. So he probably made the right decision. I know in boxing there's this extremist warrior mentality, but sometimes that extremist warrior mentality can work to your advantage because it can get the crowd to love you. But other times it works to your disadvantage because you can put yourself in a position where you do end up with a career-ending injury, sometimes a life-ending injury, because you want to go out on your shield and have this warrior mentality. So, it's very, very precarious. And as I say, I've never really been a fan of criticizing fighters who quit in tough fights. Fighters who take a glancing blow when it's not even a difficult fight, it's not a tough fight, take a glancing blow, fling themselves on the canvas and start rolling around. Yeah, you can criticize that. But when fighters are actually taking real punishment and they're in there against top opposition, it's hard to criticize as far as I'm concerned. It's particularly coming from a guy in Bob Arum who's never laced up a pair of gloves in his life. It's pretty rich, isn't it? Anyway, main point here is Arum looking at the Crawford-Brook fight as a possibility. Obviously, boxing is currently suspended, and when it resumes, maybe this is a fight we might actually get. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Would you like to see it? How do you think it would go? Do you think Kell Brook would be competitive? Do you think he would be drained at 147? Do you think he needs a fight before going in against a Terence Crawford? Yeah. Discuss in the comment section, people. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month,
you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.